Summary. What happens when you put 20 crazy and traumatized teens and their exasperated homeroom teacher through a never-ending time loop? The answer? Total chaos and complete and utter anarchy. Follow hero helpful Hitoshi Shinsou as he attempts to cope with the roller coaster death spiral that is Class 1A unbound by permanent consequences. This is Teens, Time Loops, and Total Chaos by Rae of Frost. Chapter 1. It Begins. Things are finally coming together. Hitoshi Shinsou finally finished moving all his new stuff into his dorm. It wasn't much stuff. He only had 3 boxes, 1 for clothing, 1 for cat knickknacks, and 1 for everything else. A few of their classmates were preparing for some big battle with a shadow organization and the League of Villains, but that was slated to happen in a few days. Today, everyone gathered in the common room to welcome their newest addition to the class. Everyone's phone numbers were exchanged, and food was cooked. If Bakugo wasn't adamant about being a hero, he could have become a world-renowned chef. Training with Mr. Aizawa was extra intense today. The teacher was stressed about the upcoming raid. He was worried and tried desperately to hide it. Hitoshi would have to talk to him about it. He was really, really tired. The insomniac was actually tired for once. It felt like the calm before the storm, but he couldn't keep himself awake. He didn't even bother changing out of his training clothes. Hitoshi snuggled into his new bed and for the first time in years drifted off into a peaceful sleep. Round 2, entrance exam. Hitoshi's head hurt like hell. He had a head-splitting migraine. The room was blurry. It took a minute for his eyes to focus. This wasn't his room. He was still in his gym uniform. His capture weapon hung loosely around his shoulders. The old, worn sheets and the too small bed were terrifyingly familiar. No. I can't be back here. Nope. This was his old room, with his foster family. It was horrifically bare. Plain gray linens and a simple desk were all that decorated the room. To the side was a mundane closet holding the clothes Hitoshi bought from a thrift store. Underneath his bed was an old shoebox with an emergency cash stash. Glancing at his phone. Wait, that's my old phone, but my phone is still in my pocket. Hitoshi pulled his phone from his pocket in an attempt to figure out the situation. 4 a.m. on a February Thursday. It was the day of the entrance exam. That explains the weird room. Was anyone else sent back? It was still a few hours till his foster parents would wake up, so Hitoshi packed his few belongings into a duffel bag and left for the apartment of his nearest classmate. Unfortunately, Mr. Aizawa's apartment was on the other side of the city, and his cash stash would cover a train ticket to the man's apartment as well as the trip to UA. He dialed the number of the only classmate within reasonable walking distance. After the entrance exam, he could meet up with Mr. Aizawa. If Mr. Aizawa remembers him, that is. Hello? The voice on the other end of the line sounded tired and confused. This is Ochaku Uraraka. How can I help you? Uraraka? This is Shinsou. Do you know what's going on? Huh? There was a moment's pause as Uraraka took in her surroundings. Why am I at home? I take it you have no idea, Hitoshi sighed. Is it okay if I come over to your house? My home life isn't great. Yeah, it should be okay. I'll. I think you'll get here before my parents show up. It's the day of the entrance exam, so we can hang out for a bit and go together. If both of us remember, how many other people remember? Hitoshi wondered. Maybe we should try and contact the rest of our classmates at a more reasonable hour. Sounds good. Hitoshi arrived at the Uraraka household at approximately 5:45 a.m. It was 7:42 when Uraraka's dad woke up and realized there was a mysterious boy drinking coffee in his living room. Oh, you must be Mr. Uraraka. I'm Hitoshi Shinsou. I'm one of your daughter's classmates. I'm taking the UA entrance exam later today, and we figured we could hang out before we go. Ochako has never mentioned you, the Uraraka patriarch stated with a hint of suspicion in his voice. Dad, I'm sorry about not telling you sooner. This is Shinzo, a classmate of mine. He wasn't having a great morning, and I was nervous about the entrance exam, so we decided to hang out a bit before, to calm our nerves, Uraraka announced as she entered the room with two bowls of cereal. We weren't that close before finding out we were both planning on being heroes, so that's why I never mentioned him. Not that I'm interesting to talk about anyway. Mr. Uraraka sighed. You guys have a labor intensive test today. You should eat something more nutritious than sugar puffs. But they're yummy, Uraraka whined. I can feel my teeth rotting just looking at it. Perfect, Hitoshi mumbled as he began shoveling cereal into his face. Mr. Uraraka sighed and left the room, presumably to make a proper breakfast. Hey, Hitoshi, you got to keep the capture scarf? Oh, I slept in it. I think we got to keep everything on our person when we went to bed last night. Or, well, was last night for us. So you slept with your capture scarf? I didn't feel like changing after training. I wonder what else transferred over. Scars. New scars transferred. And muscle mass. Hitoshi flexed his arm to prove his point. I had no muscle before UA, but they are clearly defined. I thought I got a little shorter. Maybe we de-aged a year? Uraraka groaned. This is a Deku thing. He likes to analyze stuff. He'll figure this all out by next week. Hope so. President Mike didn't remember. He was incredibly confused when Midoriya walked up to ask him a question. Thank goodness Izuku had the foresight to play himself off as an avid fanboy instead of a student of his. Class 1A had gathered in the courtyard an hour before the entrance exam started. Is everyone here? Ida started, chopping his hands like the class president he was. Yep, Ashido chirped. So, we all remember going through most of the first year, but President Mike did not, Midoriya muttered. We still haven't contacted Mr. Aizawa, Yaoyorozu added. All Might wasn't sent back either, Midoriya recounted. How do you know that? Todoroki questioned. I ran into him this morning, Midoriya replied. So, what do we know about the situation? Uraraka asked. We were sent back with what we wore when we went to bed. That's how I kept my new phone and capture scarf. Shinzo started. We kept our hairstyles. My parents freaked out when they saw my suddenly red hair. It's naturally black and I dyed it after the entrance exam, Kirishima explained. We kept new scars, Midori added. My mom was freaked out. We didn't keep less superficial injuries, though. My hand isn't messed up anymore. My arm is fixed as well, Ina confirmed. We went 308 days into the past, and all of us were in bed before midnight, Midoriya continued. We kept our muscle mass, Hitoshi supplied. I had absolute noodle arms for the entrance exam in the first round. Ooh, round sounds like a good way to keep track of the jump, and any more if they happen, Hagakure announced. So that makes this round 2, day 1. Rose deduced. Since there are 21 of us now, chances are one of us will end up in general studies, Shinsou declared. I do not plan on going back, so don't take it personally if I steal your spot. Hey, Shona! That kid is using a scarf like yours. Do you have a secret apprentice or something? Midnight asked from the observation room. That's Hitoshi Shinsou. Yes, I trained him. I'll have to talk to him after the entrance exam. No, I won't be biased, Aizawa sighed. That makes at least 3 of them. Eraser, you've been keeping a close eye on a specific set of kids, Cementos inquired. They're a bunch of problem children. Just wait and see. Oh my god, look at the green one go! Midnight shouted. Young Midoriya is taking to his power quite well, All Might murmured. Can it, All Might? Aizawa glared. You and your favoritism of that boy has gotten on my nerves. Try to be less obvious. Goodness gracious, Eraserhead, Snipe sighed. What's got you all riled up? Maybe it has something to do with that mysterious scar under your eye, Midnight inquired. I'm not talking about it, Aizawa stated. Mr. Aizawa waited by the gates of UA as his problem children trickled out of the entrance exams. He acknowledged and greeted his students as they left the exam. He and the entirety of Class 1A had jumped back to the beginning of the school year. Mr. Aizawa! Shinsou shouted as he rushed to the man and hugged him. Can I go with you? I don't want to. I can't go back to my foster family. Aizawa was stunned for a second before hugging back. I won't leave you. Round 2. USJ. So, the USJ is today, Ashino started. Why don't we just get ice cream instead of going? Kaminari suggested. That's actually a good idea, Jiro affirmed. Hey, Mr. Aizawa, can we go get ice cream instead of facing the villains? Ashino asked. The rest of the class started chanting, Ice cream! Ice cream! The underground hero sighed and conceded. I'll contact 13. We're getting ice cream than having a different form of training. I vote we show up and kick villain butt instead, one of the students shouted. No, we aren't risking that right now. We still don't know what's going on entirely. Yay! Ice cream! Aizawa groaned. The League of Villains warped into the USJ. It was empty. Was the schedule wrong? This is useless. Now what? Let's just get out of here. What a waste. Round 2. Sports Festival. Wow, Racer, look at your kids go, Mike announced. He watched as Class 1A crushed the obstacle course. They're talented beyond their years, Aizawa sighed. That's high praise coming from you. It's not praise, it's a warning for everyone else. Ooh, how ominous. Ooh, the grape kid from General Studies is doing quite well. That's Mineta. He doesn't stand a chance, too busy ogling to apply himself. And that's a win for Izuku Midoriya of Class 1A. Not surprised by that one. Class 1A! He took the top 20! Are you surprised by this still? Well, aren't you talkative lately? Midnight announced the cavalry battle. What a power team! Mike cried. Team Tokoyami with Midoriya, Yaoyorozu, and Todoroki. I am unsure how, but they've turned into a flying fortress. Yaoyorozu created a blanket with her quirk. The blanket provided shade and a surface for Tokoyami's quirk to lift the team into the air. Midoriya and Todoroki are the powerhouses and primary defenses, Aizawa explained. Whoa, look at that torrent of fire! Shoto! Endeavor roared. Aw, father giving his son support, Mike cooed. Fatherly support my ass, Mike Aizawa grunted. That bastard hasn't supported anything but his ego. Midoriya and his classmates get all that credit. Jeez, Racer! Why have you been so grumpy lately? I've always been grumpy. Not this grumpy. We are not discussing this on national television. Mike looked like he was about to start arguing when the buzzer went off. And that's the end of the cavalry battle. In fourth is Team Shinsou. Third is Team Uraraka. Second is Team Bakugo. And finally, in first, Team Tokoyami. I have no words, Mike lamented. Okay, I have 9 words. What the hell is wrong with your kid, Shota? I warned you. He's an eldritch horror, Mike shrieked, as though erased his co-host Squirk to save everyone's eardrums. He's walking on air, and the tentacles? Why? How? What is his quirk? His quirk is an abomination. Hell if I know. Round 2. Final night. Class 1A gathered in the common room. This was it. Tomorrow they'd pick up where they left off. They'd grown so close with this do-over. Mineta never made it into the hero course. They were 20 students and their teacher. A strange, yet beautiful family. Having a big sleepover was a great idea. Mina cheered. Most of the class was on a first-name basis. A few students opted for nicknames instead. They had double the experience they should have, but here they were. They were good enough to be pros. Yeah, I wanted to see how long each of us could stay up, Izuku admitted. I brought coffee. I don't plan on sleeping, Hitoshi stated. Just in case we get sent back again, does everyone have their current phones, essential support gear, money, and personal items you'd want to bring back? Ida, the Forever Class president, waved his hand in the air to ensure everyone had their belongings. We're all meeting at Dagobah Beach as soon as we wake up, correct? Bobo asked. Yes. Yeah, it's within walking distance of UA, and I would have just finished cleaning it. It'd be empty, so it's the perfect spot for us to meet up, Izuku confirmed. It sucks that the villain started changing the plans after the USJ, Ochako lamented. That's what happens when you mess with time, Izuku stated flatly. The phrase had become the default response to any unfavorable changes to the timeline. The class stayed up playing games and watching movies, but they all dropped at 11:59 p.m. sharp. Hitoshi woke up in a painfully familiar bed. You've got to be kidding me. He glanced around the bedroom in his foster home and groaned. It's a time loop. Okay, so we've got a new series. I mean, I guess it's not that new considering I wrote it in, I think I wrote at least the first two parts the only stuff that I've got out in like July. I need to really update this one, but it's really hard to write a good time loop series, and I know where I want to go with it, but I don't know how to get there from where I am right now. So, bear with me if it takes a while for me to get the third chapter out. I do have the second chapter already written, and then I've also got plans to write a couple other things. Some stuff based off the stuff I had on my channel before the rebrand, some stuff that's brand spanking new. And I've made this promise like 3 times to different people, but I will be making a full series that's kind of similar to that one shot that I posted. The problem is I'm running out of stuff that I've written, and I'm not writing stuff fast enough to podfic all of it. So, well, not to podfic, like, I'm gonna be podficking pretty much everything I write, but the problem right now is more, I'm not writing fast enough, and I don't have the time to write everything I needed to keep up with a decent schedule for podficking. So if there's any, like, other authors you want, like, or stories you want me to podfic, go for it. Send me some links, or give me the names of the podfic and the person who writes and the author, and I'll try and look it up and see if I can podfic it. Because I'd like to do more than just stuff that I've written. You know, I'm open to suggestions, so that'd be nice. But yeah, other than that, have a great day.